How's it going, everybody? Endangerment to society here. Video games are serious business, and you can tell they're serious business by just how much money is being spent on them. Acquisitions, mergers, layoffs, all in the name of video games. You know what makes a game better? Not the talent or the team behind it, or the personal sacrifice that team has to make, or the wisdom they've accrued over years of making video games. No, it is one simple thing. The budget. And the only way to maintain said budgets are by adding microtransactions and battle passes and DLC skin cosmetics. Man, I just love paying for product placement skins. I love our corporate overlords. I love capitalism. Speaking of capitalism, today we're going to be playing one of the greatest capitalist adventures to ever be released on the Nintendo Wii, Pikmin 2. You might be thinking that this is a joke, that this entire video is nothing but a hoot and a holler, gaffs and giggles, and I assure you, it's not. Tell me, what game out there crystallizes the pure, unadulterated ecstasy of invading foreign lands, subjugating the native populations, and stealing priceless artifacts? And if you know your Pikmin, then yes, we are playing the Wii version. Not only that, we're also playing the best version of the Wii version, that being the one running on Dolphin. Because you can play not only the first two Pikmin games, but any Nintendo Wii or any GameCube or PlayStation 2 or PlayStation 1 or Game Boy Advance or any of these games on your computer at home. And you don't need to spend a single dime to do it. And if you, dear viewer, have an issue with me promoting the illicit acquisition of games that are probably older than half of the audience on YouTube, let me hit you with some cold, hard facts. You are a corporate dick rider, and I would highly suggest that you remove yourself from the gene pool. But let's be honest, you probably weren't gonna have any children anyway. Story. Pikmin 2 takes place after the events of Pikmin 1. No surprises there. Olimar manages to escape this strange, uninhabited planet, and all he wants to do is see his family after potentially dying as a castaway on some backwoods-ass space rock. So Olimar makes it back to his home planet, Hocotate. Yes, I'm gonna continue saying it like that. And as soon as he lands, he is greeted by the president of Hocotate Freight, aka his employer, which means that Olimar is basically a space trucker. And next to the president is a local employee named Louis. See, Louis is important because he's the reason that Hocotate Freight is bankrupt. You see, Louis was on a mission to deliver what are called golden pick carrots. Basically, just an extremely expensive food item that only the wealthiest of Hokotashans can even dream to enjoy. But while on this mission, Louis was reportedly attacked by a, quote, ravenous space bunny. This horrendous creature devoured all of the golden pick carrots that were slated to be delivered. And because the carrots were the responsibility of Hocotate Freight, that means they need to pay for damages. And the damages are steep, to say the least. They are now 10k Pocos in the red. So even after they went bankrupt and paid all they could, they're still in debt. In shock, Olimar drops a little bit of treasure he brought back home as a souvenir for his son. Their last remaining asset, the Hocotate ship, sees this and immediately steals it, evaluates it, and places its value at 100 Pocos. And the ship remarks that that is worth more than an entire year's salary, which puts that 10k Pocos a little bit more into context. Fuck, how much are those carrots even worth? Hearing this information, the president asks, nay demands, Olimar immediately go back to the planet with Louis in tow. So, to understand this correctly, Olimar becomes stranded on a deserted, random-ass space rock, has very little hope for survival, goes on this whimsical-ass adventure to try to get back to his homeworld, manages to do so, and then before he even sees his family, who he thought he was never gonna see again, he has to go right back to the planet because his coworkers and his boss are incompetent. Like, fuck, this story gets really dark when you actually look into it. So Olimar and Louis go back to the planet, have a minor crash landing, find Pikmin, reunite, and the story commences. Much like Pikmin 1, the minute-to-minute story, it doesn't really matter. And I don't know if the writers at Nintendo were actually thinking about how truly fucked up this story was when they wrote it, but whatever, it lets us go back and have another Pikmin adventure. Arguably, the best Pikmin adventure. Gameplay. Pikmin 2 plays basically identically to Pikmin 1, but there are a lot of improvements to the formula. For one, you have Louie, which basically acts as a second captain. Olimar and Louie do not have any gameplay differences between each other, but they just allow you to have two captains on opposite ends of the map. And the maps are way bigger than Pikmin 1 now, so it really facilitates having one captain on one end of the map doing something, then you can switch back and go to another captain and do some other tasks. This game really encourages multitasking when you're on the overworld, and honestly, it's a really good addition. But you're still limited to a maximum of 100 Pikmin at a time. So you gotta think pretty carefully about what Pikmin you bring where, because the day-to-day time limit still exists. You still can't be on the planet during nighttime, so make every action count. But one thing that they really stress in the very beginning of the game is that there is no overall time limit like in Pikmin 1. In that game, you had 30 days to beat the game, and if you didn't do it, then Olimar fucking dies. Which honestly, I think is a little bit strange considering you're trying to repay a loan, and a pretty steep loan at that. And presumably there's like no interest rate on the loan, so like, if you take like a month to repay those 10k Pokos, there's no like penalty for that. Obviously, this was a response to people feeling stressed out about the 30-day time limit in Pikmin 1, but the context of this game still kind of facilitates a time limit like that. I don't know, I think it's a strange decision, but honestly, it's not that big of a deal. Cause like, if you know what you're doing, you can repay the debt in like 10 to 15 days, definitely less if you're a pro. Anyway, let's get on to the next addition to this game, caves. So Pikmin 2 added this kind of semi-randomly generated dungeon crawler section. I say section, it's closer to like 2/3 of the game are dedicated to caves. And like the way that they're structured really change how you approach problems. So okay, let's start from the beginning. Let's say you're in the overworld and you find a cave. Cool, awesome. The ship tells you that there's bound to be treasure down there, so of course, you gotta play the video game, you go in the cave. First big change when you're in the caves, time limits, gone. Don't worry about them. Time actually physically stops while you're in caves. So let's say you spawn in during one day and immediately you jump into one cave. You jump out of the cave and it's still the same time as when you jumped in. So you can just run your ass over to another cave, jump in, and get so much shit done in one day. Like, if you know what you're doing, you can clear an entire level's worth of caves in the span of one in-game day. So that's the first big change. Second is that the onions don't follow you down into the caves. So if you're in the caves and you happen to lose a small portion of your squad, they're gone, dude. You can't just replace them immediately like you can in the overworld. It adds this weird extra layer that I never thought would be present in a Nintendo game like this. Like genuine fear of losing your Pikmin. Oh God, why? And not every hazard appears in every cave. So you gotta be a little bit mindful of what kinds of squads you bring down into the cave with you, because you don't know how long you're gonna be in there. And if you fuck up, you have to live with that until you finish the cave. Or you can just do what literally everyone else does and save scum it. Yeah, so when you're in the caves, they're like bookmarked by sub-levels, and when you go down each sub-level, the game saves. So let's say you're on sub-level 3. You go to sub-level 4, and you lose a sizable portion of your squad. Like 80% of your Pikmin are just dead. You can just restart the game and start back at the beginning of the sub-level. So it kind of deflates that layer of fear that I was talking about, but you know, it still hurts when you lose your squad. And here's another interesting part. While you're in the caves, you may happen to stumble upon purple and white flowers. And if you happen to throw any Pikmin into the flower, they will then transform into two new types of Pikmin, purples and whites. And these guys are the third major change to the Pikmin formula. And they drastically break the game. White Pikmin, they're only a little broken. Their whole thing is that they're way faster than other types of Pikmin, immune to the brand new poison hazards, can poison enemies if they're devoured, and have limited X-ray vision that allow them to dig up treasures completely buried in the ground. I don't know how they know what is valuable and what isn't, but I'm not complaining. But the purple Pikmin, oh, they completely ruin this game. At first glance, they're kind of the opposite of the white Pikmin. They are incredibly strong, having both more attack power, I believe it's like a 1.5 times multiplier, and 10 times the carrying strength of any other Pikmin. The only downside to these guys is that they are incredibly slow. But none of this is what makes them broken. Yeah, having like double the damage of a normal Pikmin may seem strong on its own, but the real kicker is that when you throw a purple Pikmin, they slam down on the ground and stun nearby enemies. So you can completely stun lock enemies. This right here, this is what makes the purples so powerful and so important to have on your team. They are so good that no matter what situation you're in, you gotta have purple Pikmin. Yeah, Pikmin 2 is not a balanced game, but that's just what makes it more fun. Oh yeah, and I never mentioned the real Achilles heel of the purple and white Pikmin. They don't have onions. The only way to acquire purple and white Pikmin are underground from the flowers. And when you bring them back up to the overworld, they stay inside of the ship itself since they don't have an onion of their own. So if you lose any purple or white Pikmin, that represents actual time you have to spend to go back into a cave to then transform your squad into the more powerful Pikmin types. So yeah, either don't fuck up or save scum like a motherfucker. Those are the only two tactics you got. Have fun! And there's one other big change that I gotta talk about in this game. Yellow Pikmin can no longer carry bomb rocks. And if you've never played this game, you might wonder, like, well, what's the point of having yellow Pikmin in your squad at all? If one of their two unique properties from the first game is just removed, what benefit do they serve? Well, another new hazard was added to this game, electricity, which is an instant kill to every Pikmin type excluding the yellows. There are no stun mechanics, there's no invincibility frames, there is no hand-holding whatsoever. If you fuck up so hard that you run your squad into an electrical field, they are all dead. That makes yellow Pikmin the second most valuable part of your squad. And the sad part is that red and blue Pikmin are pretty much the same. Ooh, you know what I just remembered? There's actually a third new type of Pikmin. And just like the purples and whites, you can only get them in caves, but their extreme downside is you can't take them out of caves. Meet the Bulbman, a weird parasitic form of Pikmin that happens to inhabit the body of baby Bulborbs. So they behave exactly like any other kind of Pikmin, but their main strength is that they're immune to nearly every hazard in the game. Electricity, water, fire, poison, all of these things the Bulbman laughs at, it scoffs, and it walks right through every hazard like nothing happened. But like I said, you can't bring them out of the caves. You gotta leave them behind. And there are even more changes to this, like more dedicated boss fights, character upgrades, and a few others, but to be honest with you, I don't want to make this video a patch notes video. Safe to say, Pikmin 2 adds a lot to the game that Pikmin 1 had already laid the foundation for, and these are changes that I think mostly makes the game better. The big thing is that, like, Pikmin 2 becomes more of a dungeon crawler rather than an RTS game. Strategy is still very necessary, but this weird change to dungeon crawler I actually jive with a lot. Because of all this, Pikmin 2 is my favorite game in the series. I made a big point in the first video talking about how Pikmin 1 was weirdly traumatizing, and in Pikmin 2, oh, Jesus Christ, it just gets worse. Because when you're in the caves, man, the game doesn't hold any punches. Like, you'll just be walking through a cave having a grand old time, and then suddenly the game just drops like 15 bomb rocks on you all at once. Which there are no bomb immune Pikmin, so very scary if you have a full squad running through a cave and like a million fucking bombs just happen to fall on you. That might sound like a bad thing, and everything that I'm saying might trigger the images of a game is unbalanced and unfair kind of meme. But all of this culminates into an experience that I think is just the right amount of trauma and excitement. Because like I said earlier, the caves are semi-randomly generated, so you never know what's gonna be thrown at you at any given moment. And this ain't deterministic either, so every time you restart a floor, it's going to be a different layout. It's almost like a roguelike, honestly. And if you know me, you know that I love roguelikes. So in my opinion, Pikmin 2 is the pinnacle of the series. It's this charm that the game has that I don't think has been replicated by any other Pikmin game before or since. The ship's AI is just kind of always an asshole to you, but he's also like charismatic in a way, so you want to hear the weird shit that he says, but at the same time you never like actually care for his safety. And to exemplify this even more, he never talks this way to the president. So it all culminates into like this ship being this brown-nosing piece of shit. And if this like piques your interest, then you'll be happy to know that there's an entire side mode of the game called the Picopedia. You know how earlier I was gassing up this game and talking about how cool all the new additions are? Yeah, the Picopedia is the best addition to this game. It's both a bestiary and a treasure catalog, and for each individual enemy, plant, treasure, everything that you interact with in this game, they all have little bits of exposition that just add just a little je ne sais quoi, if you will, a little sprinkling of flavor on this game. Each treasure in this game belongs to a collection, and if you get every treasure that is in the collection, the ship will then write a marketing spiel about them. Because remember, the whole point of coming back is to grab artifacts and sell them back home. So yeah, this weird like brown-nosing used car salesman persona I gave to the ship, I didn't give that to the ship. He's just like that. But the enemies have like taxonomy information and like ecological studies and biologic shit, and it's all written by Captain Olimar. So you don't have the end of day little diary entry that Olimar did in the first game, but in this one, you have all kinds of little sprinklings of lore and characterization for Olimar, on top of everything that was in the first game. And to just add to everything I talked about, once you beat the game, you unlock a second description for every enemy written by Louis. He tells you how to cook every monster. Like how to prepare the flesh, how to serve things, what flavors go well with this cut of meat. It's a really bizarre thing, and they didn't have to do it, but they did, and it's amazing, and I love this game. Holy shit! And now, a reading of funny enemy names in Pikmin 2. Decorated cannon larva. Segmented crobster. Pileated snagret. Man at legs. Lesser spotted jellyfloat. The swooping snitchbug. The bumbling snitchbug. The creeping chrysanthemum. The careening dirigibug. The gatling groink. The water dumple. The iridescent glint beetle. The ranging bloister. The ravenous whisker-pillar. Bulborb. Pikmin 1 I would compare to a really simple but well-made cupcake. It doesn't take long to eat, and it's not the greatest flavor, but at the end of it, you'll be satisfied. Pikmin 2, on the other hand, is like a cake, but half of it is like the most delectable cake you've ever fucking eaten in your life, and the other half is full of spiders. But the spiders, bizarrely, are all coated in this delicious honey coating? So you're still eating spiders, but the spiders still taste good. And by the end of it, you're just left like satisfied, but also confused and angry, and you just want more. Or at least I wanted more. Give me more of the fucking spider cake, dude.
Hey, thanks for watching the video. It is currently 8 in the morning. I am very tired and I want this video to be done already. This video was a bit of a departure from what I usually make, and you know, I'm trying to do more game review type things, trying to take inspirations from other creators and just sort of mash them all together into my own style. Hopefully it turned out good. I want to give a special shout out to my buddies Aaron, Abby, Derek, and Justin for all helping me collaborate and create this wonderfully hideous thumbnail. This thumbnail was made with us just bullshitting in a Discord VC, and I want to show it somewhere in the video just because it sucks just in the best ways possible. If you didn't know, by the way, I have a second channel where I'm doing a Let's Play of Monster Hunter Tri. I'm also experimenting with other games like Dark Souls and a few other indie games here and there. Hopefully I'll have all that stuff up soon. I want to do more like traditional quote-unquote Let's Play content because I feel like that's just sort of a niche that people aren't really catering to on YouTube as much anymore. People kind of want to watch more long form content, which makes sense, but you know, I'm hoping that I can cater to a niche and you know, people will appreciate it. I don't know. Maybe it'll work out, maybe it won't. Who the fuck knows? Yeah. And again, thank you for watching this far. I have no idea what I'm doing on YouTube anymore, and I have no idea what to make. And I have lost all motivation to make things. So let's hope that I can somehow regain that in some ways. Dude, I don't really know what I'm doing anymore. So just have a good day, everybody. Go watch more of my videos, I guess, if you want.